Hello, and welcome to You Are More Than What You Eat: How to Improve Digestion for Improved Health. My name is Amanda Watson, and I'm a board certified holistic nutrition consultant. I help educate and empower people to take control of their health through nutrition and lifestyle. Food is fundamental to life and health. Every cell in our body is built from and runs on the food and drink we consume. Our diet is the most powerful determinant of our overall health and wellness. It can be our best ally or our worst enemy. And while genetics can play a role in our susceptibility or predisposition to certain diseases, it is our environment and lifestyle that ultimately flip the switch. I like to say genetics loads the gun, but environment pulls the trigger. I'm talking things like nutrition, stress, sleep, breathing, physical activity, and our toxin exposure. We are not doomed to suffer the same health fates as our family members or modern society. There are many things within our control. I offer personalized nutrition and lifestyle consulting where I use a functional medicine framework to help my clients identify the likely root causes of their health concerns. Then together, we co-create a wellness vision and plan to bring the body back into balance. I also teach various nutrition and wellness classes and lead group challenges that help people form lifelong healthy habits. My specialties and areas of interest include all things hormonal, from perimenopause and menopause support to hypothyroidism, including Hashimoto's autoimmune thyroiditis, blood sugar imbalances and insulin resistance, and adrenal fatigue or insufficiency and the stress response. Even though the majority of my clients come to me for help with hormonal concerns and weight loss, I found that most, if not all, are also dealing with digestive complaints. Things like acid reflux or GERD, Barrett's esophagus, bloating, constipation, diarrhea. These are all signs that the digestive system needs a little love. Through client work, I've learned that before we can address the hormones or weight gain or any other issue, we need to address digestion. You can be eating the most wonderful whole foods, well-balanced diet, but if your digestive system isn't functioning well, you're not going to get results because you are more than what you eat. You are what you eat is only part of the story. In order to utilize nutrients from the foods we consume, we need to be able to digest them or break them down, absorb them across cell membranes in the GI tract, and then convert or assimilate them into compounds our body can use for various functions. Eating healthy whole foods is just the beginning. We need to make sure we are eating in a way that supports all of these processes in the digestive tract. While some clients do have major GI dysfunction, which requires in-depth intervention, many clients find major relief by implementing a handful of simple habit changes that improve their ability to digest and absorb food. Today, I'm going to share these eating hygiene fundamentals with you. Before we get into eating hygiene fundamentals, let me take you on a quick journey through your GI tract and highlight the important actions taking place from entrance to exit. Most people think digestion starts in the mouth, but it actually starts in the brain. When you see, smell, or think of food, your brain sends signals to your digestive system, stimulating hunger and the production and release of digestive juices and enzymes. The mouth is the first step in mechanical and chemical digestion. We break bites of food down into smaller particles by chewing, and those particles get mixed with saliva. Saliva acts as a solvent and helps us taste and enjoy our food. It also helps bind our chewed food into a slippery little mass that can easily slide down our esophagus and into the stomach. Our saliva also contains enzymes that start to break down dietary fats and carbohydrates. Chewing and swallowing are the only parts of the digestive process that are voluntary or under our control. Our stomach's main functions are to digest and defend. I like to think of the stomach as the body's blender. Our food continues to get broken down in the stomach through the churning and mixing with gastric juices, which are a mixture of mucus, hydrochloric acid, also known as stomach acid, and enzymes. The stomach's high acidity along with antibodies found in the mucus, function to kill any potentially pathogenic bacteria and parasites we may ingest with our food. The contents of the stomach are then slowly released into the small intestine where the final stages of digestion are completed. The fats, carbohydrates, and proteins we consumed are further broken down into individual molecules with the help of bile from our liver and gallbladder, and digestive enzymes from the pancreas and brush border lining of our small intestine. These small nutrients are then absorbed and distributed throughout the body. What is left of our food reaches the large intestine, also known as the colon. The colon reabsorbs water and electrolytes and compacts waste products and prepares them for elimination. The colon contains tens of trillions of beneficial and pathogenic bacteria known as the gut microbiome. These beneficial bacteria work for us if we feed them and provide them with a good neighborhood to live in. They synthesize vitamins, metabolize phytochemicals into health promoting metabolites, and they ferment undigested plant fibers into something called short chain fatty acids. Short chain fatty acids are the main fuel source for our colonic cells. These short chain fatty acids enhance gut motility, they prevent inflammation and cancer, and enhance gut barrier function and prevent leaky gut. The more beneficial bacteria you have in your colon, the less real estate there is for pathogenic microorganisms to take over. So, as you can see, there are many important functions that happen along our GI tract. Along each of the steps I just described, a lot can go wrong. The function of every organ in our GI tract is affected by what does or doesn't happen upstream in the digestive process. Let's start up in the brain. In order to rest and digest, we need to be in a parasympathetic nervous state. But many of us are walking around stressed and in fight or flight mode almost constantly. This suppresses the downstream stimulation of all digestive functions. Then, if we don't chew our food well, or we have low saliva and enzyme production in the mouth, we're going to make the jobs of our stomach and intestines much more difficult or even impossible. Lifestyle factors such as dehydration and use of medications like antihistamines and beta blockers can be a cause of low saliva production. These are common daily use medications that many people are on. We need adequate stomach acid to break down our food, to keep the sphincter or muscle between the esophagus and stomach tightly closed, and to stimulate the release of digestive secretions in our small intestine. Reflux, GERD, and heartburn are usually not caused by too much stomach acid, but by too little. Drinking excess fluids with meals, having an H. pylori overgrowth, and the use of certain medications like proton pump inhibitors, H2 receptor blockers, and nonsteroidal anti-inflammatories can all cause low stomach acid production and weaken that pyloric sphincter. This can exacerbate heartburn and lead to conditions like Barrett's esophagus. When large, poorly digested pieces of food make their way into the small intestine, we can suffer from things like gas, bloating, microbial imbalances, and increased food allergies. This is because the food particles are too large for the enzymes in the small intestine to work on. Poorly managed conditions like celiac disease and hypothyroidism can also impair digestion in the small intestine. And last but not least, we've made our way to the large intestine. The actions here can be impaired by what does or doesn't happen upstream, as well as by things like a low fiber diet, food grazing, antibiotic usage, a high dietary sugar intake, and exposure to toxins and chemicals like glyphosate. Improving your eating hygiene can be a game changer in improving your ability to digest and absorb food. I've had clients who have drastically eliminated their acid reflux and no longer need to take medications for GERD by implementing the tips I'm going to share with you. What you eat is important, but how you eat is important too. In a nutshell, eating hygiene is the practice of mindful eating, where we prioritize eating, we eat slowly and chew thoroughly, and limit excessive fluid intake during our meals. Let's start with prioritizing eating. Many people feel that eating is somehow a waste of time unless it's done while multitasking. We've gotten into the habit of eating on the go. We eat in our cars while driving, while rushing to a meeting, or while standing at the counter preparing our kids' food. This is a recipe for indigestion. So, what can you do? First, sit down to eat. Communicate to your body with your actions that it's safe to relax and let down your guard and focus on digestion and restoring your reserves. Remember, we digest best in a parasympathetic mode. That's why it's referred to as rest and digest mode. When we are in a sympathetic state, we literally put out less digestive fluids, less stomach acid, less enzymes, and our food does not get broken down well. Next, after you sit down, take a few deep breaths. The body needs oxygen to properly digest. Taking a few slow, calming breaths before you start eating can also stimulate the vagus nerve and our parasympathetic nervous system. It's also helpful to limit distractions. Ditch the phone, TV, computer, and definitely work. Give your full attention to your food. Relax and savor every bite. Be in the moment with your foods. Pay attention to the colors, textures, aromas, and flavors. Most of us are mentally a million miles away when we eat, and this can lead to overeating. It's also really important to slow down. Digestion takes time, and digestive secretions like stomach acid, bile, and pancreatic enzymes need time to be fully secreted. If we're stressed, it takes even longer. Slowing down can also prevent you from overeating. It takes about 20 minutes for your gut to signal to your brain that you are full and to reduce your sense of hunger. If you wolf down your meal in 10 minutes, you're more likely to overeat and end up with indigestion. Just like an overfilled blender, a very full stomach has trouble mixing acid and enzymes well with your food. Ideally, we should stop eating when we are about 2/3 or 80% full. This next tip has been a game changer for many of my clients. Chewing thoroughly. On average, most people chew a bite of food only about 6 times before swallowing. The less we chew our food, the harder our GI tract has to work. This can create post-meal fatigue. Ideally, we should chew each bite of food about 20 to 30 times, or until it's an almost applesauce or liquid consistency before swallowing. What are some tips to help you slow down? Because I know this is a tough one for many people. Count your chews. Chew each bite 20 or 30 times before swallowing. Put your fork down between bites. And if you're eating a handheld food like a sandwich, set that down on your plate between bites. Being well hydrated is important for overall health. But ideally, we want to focus on getting the majority of our hydration between meals. When we consume large amounts of fluids during a meal, you can dilute the acidity of your stomach acid and slow digestion. Depending on your sensitivity, this can cause an early sense of fullness and belching. Long term, it can cause malnutrition, especially of vitamins like B12 and minerals like magnesium and iron. If it's near mealtime and you feel thirsty, drink a glass of water right away, then allow your body about 20 minutes to absorb it before having your meal. This allows the fluid to clear your stomach before food enters. During a meal, I recommend drinking no more than 8 to 10 ounces. These are indeed simple solutions, but don't underestimate how powerful they can be. I've seen many people dramatically improve their digestion, energy levels, and nutrition with these simple steps. Like anything else, it has to be a priority, and you need to be consistent with these practices in order to create big change and long-term relief. Thank you for joining me today, and I hope these tips help you in improving your digestion for improved health.